In the cold heart of the Draxil High Council chamber, alien delegates watch with growing horror as humanity unleashes an incomprehensible display of power. The humans' silent, deliberate act, launching their Deathworld warships, shatters the fragile confidence of the galaxy's dominant powers. A chilling human vow signals a reckoning no one anticipated. The power balance teeters on the edge of collapse. The cavernous chamber of the Draxil High Council thrummed with anxious energy. Tall, multi-jointed delegates, each a relic of their species' evolutionary survival, clustered around the vast hollow table, the glow of the star map casting eerie reflections across their angular faces. "What madness is this?" hissed Vrixal, the Council's senior observer, his voice trembling. "Their fleet, it doesn't conform to any known pattern. They're not advancing, not retreating, they're waiting." The holomap centered on Earth's solar system. A dozen colossal black warships, Deathworld vessels carved from rare alloys, found only in the Galactic core's dead zones, hovers ominously in orbit, their hulls pulsing with a slow, ominous light. No other species wielded such technology, least of all those from a planet dismissed as primitive and chaotic. "They've been silent for centuries," another delegate, the soft-spoken scientist Xylan, added. "Their transmissions have been void of aggression. Our data suggested stagnation, isolationism, yet here they stand, waiting." Vrixal's compound eyes narrowed. Waiting? Waiting for what? Suddenly, the silence shattered. From the human fleet came a pulse, a deep electromagnetic pulse, calculated and silent in the vast void, disabling surveillance satellites and electronic sensors around the Draxil's territory. The chamber gasped. "This is unprecedented," shouted a junior delegate, his antennae flickering erratically. "An EMP at this scale could cripple entire planetary systems. Why have they not been declared hostile?" "Because," whispered the human transmission intercepted moments earlier, cutting through the alien comm chatter, "we don't declare war, we execute it." A chill gripped the room. The human voice was calm, almost serene, but it carried the weight of inevitability. The translator's synth echoed the phrase over and over, amplifying dread. Vrixal's mandibles clicked. What is their purpose?" A sudden scene shift to the human viewpoint broke the tension. Commander Elise Renner stood on the command deck of the USSS Retribution, her jaw set tight. Around her, crew members worked in near silence, eyes fixed on holographic star charts and incoming data. The ship was a leviathan, black, angular, and armored like a fortress, designed to thrive on hostile death worlds no enemy could survive. Her voice was low, a cold blade cutting the quiet. "They underestimated our patience. They thought time was their ally. Time has only sharpened our edge." On the observation screens, a countdown flickered, cold and precise. 0:15. The crew was ready. The warships were more than vessels. They were weapons, tools of revenge, honed by centuries of waiting. Elise's gaze hardened as she stared at the flickering timer. They will learn the true meaning of Deathworld. Back in the Draxil chamber, the alien delegates could only watch in frozen silence as the countdown reached 0. Then, absolute radio silence. No retaliation, no declaration, only the hum of human warships, engines thrumming with dormant power ready to unleash chaos. Vrixal's voice broke through the shock. What are we witnessing? This is not war, it is an annihilation ritual." Xylan's voice cracked. "We believed them primitive, but this is calculated mercy, or final dominion." The chamber's tension snapped. Councillors began shouting, accusing one another of failure, betrayal, or ignorance. Outside the council chamber's dome, distant starships began scrambling, but the human fleet remained still, silent, a sleeping giant. Elise's voice came over comms, clear and haunting. "Humanity waited too long. Now their Deathworld warships will do all the talking. The council chamber lights dimmed. The balance of power in the galaxy had shattered. As alien fleets scramble in confusion, humanity's commanders and scientists quietly prepare for the inevitable chaos. The human warship's ominous silence weighs heavily on the crew, while whispers of lost worlds and grim purpose echo through ship corridors. Across hostile stars, the first shadows of Deathworld tactics begin to stir. But the true storm has yet to break. In the sterile hum of the USSS Retribution's command hub, Lieutenant Marcus Yates ran a final systems check. Around him, soft bleeps and clicks of advanced nanotech diagnostics filled the room. The ship's cloaking arrays shimmered faintly, a veil of near invisibility woven from quantum fluctuations and gravitational distortions. It was humanity's silent shroud. Marcus's hands hovered over the console, fingers poised yet trembling. "Commander, the gravity modulators are stable. Nanoweave repairs at 85%. EMP emitter ready for deployment on your mark." Commander Elise Renner nodded once, her gaze cold and unyielding. "Hold that power for now. We're ghosts, Marcus. Let them scramble in the dark." Across the ship's observation deck, Dr. Lena Kovac leaned over a holomap of the system. Her eyes traced the orbits of distant moons, rugged, hostile worlds where humans had tested their Deathworld warship prototypes. "These vessels aren't just warships," she murmured. "They're engineered to survive what no other ship can, extremes that would crush any alien cruiser, high radiation, gravity fields stronger than neutron stars, atmospheric toxins. These are Deathworlds, forged into our weaponry." Elise stepped beside her. "Our enemies see Deathworlds as nightmares, but for us, they're home." A faint, uneasy murmur rippled through the crew quarters as off-duty soldiers and engineers exchanged quiet words. Stories passed in whispers, how these warships had descended on hostile colonies, scouring once proud alien settlements, leaving only silence in their wake. Yet the crew knew their task was not just retribution, it was survival. Outside the ship, a nearby star system's communication channels erupted in chaos. Alien fleets issued frantic orders, scrambling to understand the new threat. Sensor nets blipped with confusion. No signals, no broadcasts, just an eerie silence where humanity's voice once was. Lieutenant Yates adjusted his visor, scanning the shifting tactical map. "They're panicking, Commander. No coordinated. No counterattack yet. But the longer we wait, the more desperate they'll become." Elise's voice was steel. "Let them rage. They don't understand the patience behind the silence." The Retribution's communications officer reported a flurry of intercepted alien chatter, disjointed and frantic. The humans' radio silence was a psychological weapon, a void that seeded fear. In her quarters, Dr. Kovac ran simulations of the impending strikes. Each scenario ended in devastation, alien warships disabled, entire systems devastated by shockwaves from the human fleet's silent weapons. Her mind lingered on the irony that centuries of being underestimated, dismissed as barbarians, had driven humanity to this brink. The soft glow of the holomap cast shadows on her face as she whispered to herself, "We are the Deathworld incarnate." Suddenly the ship's main screen flickered. A single human word appeared, bold and unyielding, "Patience." Then the screen went dark. Elise's gaze hardened. Humanity waited too long. Now they'll understand why. Outside in the void, the Deathworld warships remained poised, silent but deadly. The calm before the carnage, the long-held silence breaks with a violent, terrifying strike. Humanity's Deathworld warships unleash unprecedented destruction against a fortified alien outpost, sending shockwaves through the galaxy. Alien commanders wrestle with disbelief and rising fear as human ruthlessness defies all expectations. On board the Retribution, Commander Renner and her crew confront the psychological toll of war, the burden of vengeance, and the cruel calculus of survival. The vast void beyond the human fleet shimmered under distant stars, but silence reigned. The Deathworld warships, massive black hulks forged from alien metals and human ingenuity, held position, cloaked in invisible quantum fields that bent light and distorted sensors. No transmission, no signal, only the soft hum of engines poised, like predators. Then a tremor rippled through the void. The alien outpost on Veridra Prime had long been considered impregnable. A ringed fortress world deep in the Jariel system, Veridra's orbital defense grid boasted dozens of layered shields, swarm drones and plasma turrets. The fortress had repelled every assault for decades, a symbol of alien technological supremacy and arrogance. But tonight, the fortress would learn a brutal lesson. "Commander, we have clearance," Lieutenant Yates announced sharply. "EMP, Cascade ready. Target, Veridra Prime Orbital Shield Matrix." Elise Renner's eyes narrowed. "Deploy. Let's see how long their shields last against a Deathworld pulse." The Retribution's sleek black hull shuddered as an enormous EMP wave unfolded, spreading invisibly through space. Across the system, the fortress's sensors and defense grids sputtered, flickered, then went dark. A cascade failure triggered by a quantum-tuned electromagnetic blast. "What the hell? What the—" barked an alien commander inside the fortress's control room, staring at dead monitors. "Our systems, everything's offline. Emergency backup protocols. Activate now." But it was too late. From the shadowed reaches beyond the planet, the USS Retribution and its sister warships surged forward, their gravity modulators engaged to manipulate space-time just enough to dodge debris and incoming fire. "Prepare plasma torpedoes," Elise ordered. "This ends tonight." The black warship seemed to awaken, engines roaring with low-frequency vibrations that rattled across space. The Deathworld vessels unleashed their signature weaponry, plasma torpedoes imbued with nanite clusters designed to breach the most advanced armor, then devour the ship's systems from the inside out. Bright streaks of searing light tore through the atmosphere, each impact triggering violent chain reactions on the fortress's surface. Explosions blossomed like deadly flowers, the shockwaves knocking debris into the void. On Veridra Prime's surface, millions of alien civilians fled in panic, their sky darkened by falling fire. Inside the fortress, alien officers screamed orders, but the defenses crumbled. "We're losing orbital control." A panicked voice shouted, "Request reinforcements, deploy surface fighters." But human warships pressed their advantage, cloaking and decloaking unpredictably, a ghostly dance of death. Inside the Retribution, the bridge was tense but focused. Marcus. Yates watched the tactical holomap, a swirling mass of reds and blues. "Their reinforcements are en route, but the damage is severe. Shields won't recover for hours." Elise's voice was steady, but inside, a storm raged. "We knew this would cost lives," she muttered. "We waited too long to fight, but this is necessary." A communications alert blinked on the panel. Dr. Lena Kovac answered quickly. "Commander, I'm picking up biosignatures from the surface. Casualties, refugees. We're hitting populated areas harder than expected." Elise's jaw tightened. "Collateral damage is inevitable, but this war was forced upon us." A young soldier, Private Jax, approached nervously. "Commander, I don't know if I can do this." Elise turned sharply, locking eyes with him. "Then remember why you're here, to protect those who can't fight, to make sure they never threaten Earth again." Jax swallowed hard but nodded. The battle raged for hours. Alien ships scrambled to respond, but the Deathworld warship's superior adaptability, gravity modulators, nanotech repairs, stealth cloaking, rendered alien tactics obsolete. In the alien high command, panic metastasized into despair. "Humanity's patience was a lie," spat the Jariel fleet admiral, his claws trembling. "They've been crafting weapons no one dreamed possible." Vrixel's successor, now a shattered relic of the Council's former pride, slumped against the holotable. How do you fight a warship built for worlds where even light itself is a weapon? In the fortress's last moments, as fires consumed control towers and plasma tore through docking bays, a lone alien commander whispered a haunting question. Why are they like this? Back on the Retribution, the silence returned. The Deathworld. Warships gathered their spoils, captured tech, disabled vessels, data caches. But no celebration disturbed the cold efficiency. Elise stood alone on the observation deck, staring out into the wreckage. Because, she whispered, we never forgot the cost of waiting. Her voice broke as a sudden alert blinked on. Unknown vessel detected, Yates reported. Classified as a diplomat ship, it's attempting to communicate. Elise's eyes flicked to the comms panel. Patch it through. Static crackled, then a panicked, broken alien voice spoke. Please, cease fire, we seek negotiation. Elise's lips curled in a bitter smile. Too late for talks. Humanity waited too long. She switched off the comms. The war was no longer just about survival. It was about vengeance, the shattered alien worlds reel under the consequences of humanity's ruthless precision. Commander Elise Renner wrestles with the weight of command and the ghosts of lost innocence. As alien factions scramble for survival and alliances fracture, human scientists delve deeper into the dark history that forged their Deathworld warships. The thin line between mercy and annihilation blurs, revealing the haunting costs of humanity's long-awaited vengeance. The eerie quiet that followed the assault on Veridra Prime was deafening. In the USSS Retribution's command deck, Commander Elise Renner sat alone, eyes fixed on the slowly regenerating holographic star map. The burnt scars of war glowed crimson against the black void, verdicts etched into space itself. She rubbed her temples, feeling the familiar ache of exhaustion mixed with grim determination. The weight of command was an invisible anchor that tightened every second. Lieutenant Marcus Yates approached cautiously, his voice low. Commander, reports from the surface are arriving in waves. Veridra Prime's population has suffered heavy casualties. Refugee ships are fleeing toward Allied systems. Elise nodded, the knot in her chest tightening. Civilian or not, she said quietly, this was a warning, a reckoning. We can't afford mercy when they hunted us like vermin for centuries. Yates hesitated. I understand the stakes, but some in the fleet are questioning if we crossed a line. She gave him a measured look. War always crosses lines, Marcus. We just waited longer than most. In the science bay, Dr. Lena Kovac pored over ancient archives. The holo display glowed with images of Earth's darkest past, scarred landscapes, lost civilizations, and countless species Earth had once struggled to survive against. Deathworlds are more than habitats, she explained to a small group of officers. They are crucibles, environments hostile enough to break any invader. Our ancestors survived because they adapted, not surrendered. Her finger traced the image of a long-extinct alien colony, decimated not by war, but by environmental collapse engineered in part by humans to purge threats. One young officer, skeptical, asked, but isn't that ruthless? Lena's eyes hardened. Ruthless? Maybe, but necessary. When the galaxy dismissed us as savage barbarians, they forgot one truth. We thrive where others perish, and we build weapons from that very hostility. Back on the Retribution, the captain's quarters were a refuge of cold silence. Elise reviewed personal logs from her crew, letters, photographs, memories of families left behind on a broken Earth, still struggling under environmental collapse and political chaos. She touched the worn photograph of her younger brother, lost to a failed colonial uprising decades ago. They waited too long to fight back, she whispered. But now we're more than a threat. We're a reckoning. The ship's AI Vox interrupted gently. Commander, we have detected unusual signals from a nearby system, possibly survivors or scouting parties. Recommendation: reconnaissance. Before engagement. Elise's jaw clenched. Prepare a strike team. I want eyes on those signals, no surprises. Meanwhile, across the shattered alien networks, the news of Veridra's devastation spread like wildfire. The Draxil High Council had fractured under pressure. Some members urged immediate peace talks, fearing total annihilation. Others demanded vengeance, blaming weak leadership for the crisis. Amidst the chaos, a desperate alliance formed. Lesser species banded together, sharing fragmented intelligence about humanity's Deathworld technology. One alien commander, Jariel's former fleet admiral, spoke bitterly in a hidden war chamber. We underestimated their patience. Their silence was the calm before our end. A junior officer responded, voice shaking. How do we fight shadows that can survive our deadliest weapons? How do we negotiate with a species that doesn't speak until it kills? Back on the Retribution, the reconnaissance team prepared for departure. Private Jax, once uncertain, now carried a hardened resolve. Sir, he said quietly to Elise, we need to understand what we're facing, not just destroy it. Elise nodded, a flicker of respect in her eyes. Good, because this war will test more than our weapons. It will test our humanity. As the strike team launched in stealth dropships, cloaked against detection, Elise allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. The galaxy had judged humanity primitive, reckless, unworthy. They were wrong. From the dark corridors of the Retribution, a whispered phrase echoed in her mind. Humanity waited too long. And now, they were finally speaking. The human strike team uncovers dark secrets on a hostile alien colony, revealing the full extent of alien treachery and human resilience. As brutal battles erupt on the ground, Commander Elise Renner confronts the psychological scars of war and the fine line between justice and revenge. Meanwhile, alien factions descend further into chaos, desperate to counter humanity's terrifying new tactics before extinction. The atmosphere inside the stealth dropship Shadowfang was thick with tension. Cloaked in layers of adaptive camouflage, it drifted silently through the shadowed orbit of Vrexis, a remote alien colony on the edge of hostile space. Private Jax stared out through the reinforced viewport, watching the swirling storms on the planet's surface. A toxic, swirling orange haze cloaked the continent below. A Deathworld environment, lethal to most species, but intimately familiar to humans, hardened by centuries of survival. Sir, whispered Sergeant Mira Huang, the squad's tactical leader, our sensors picked up irregular biosignatures near the settlement. No signs of active defense, but unusual energy readings from deep underground. Elise Renner's voice crackled in the comm. Proceed with caution. This might be where the aliens are hiding their secrets or their weapons. The Shadowfang dropped through the dense atmosphere, slipping past automated perimeter drones and sensor nets that flickered uselessly against the ship's nanotech cloaking. Touching down on the ragged surface, the team disembarked into the choking air. Their masks filtered out toxic gases, but the oppressive heat and acidic winds gnawed at their resolve. This place, Jax muttered. It's worse than Earth's old war zones. Mira nodded grimly. Deathworld environments are our advantage, but also a test. We survive where others die. As the team advanced, ancient ruins loomed, remnants of alien cities scarred by millennia of war and neglect. The ground trembled. Beneath their boots, a subtle but constant reminder of the planet's unstable tectonics. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath Jax's foot. He barely caught himself on the edge of a pit, revealing a labyrinthine network of tunnels, partially flooded with luminescent, toxic sludge. Elise approached, shining a tactical lamp into the abyss. Looks like a hidden complex, she said. Prepare to enter. Keep weapons ready. Descending into the tunnels, the team found remnants of alien technology fused with crude human modifications. Strange power conduits pulsed faintly, powering systems long thought dormant. "This isn't just a colony," Mira whispered. "It's a weapons factory. Or worse, a biological weapons research lab." Elise's stomach tightened. "This is why they attacked Earth decades ago. We weren't just neighbors. We were threats." Suddenly the lights flickered, and a high-pitched alarm shattered the silence. "Contact!" Jax shouted, firing as alien sentry bots emerged from the shadows. The bots moved with lethal precision, lasers cutting through the stale air. A brutal firefight erupted in the claustrophobic tunnels, the sound of gunfire echoing off ancient walls. The human team's tactics, honed on Earth's most hostile battlefields, gave them an edge, but the enemy fought with desperation and cunning. Mira barked orders. "Grenades ready! Hold the line!" Explosions rocked the tunnels, sending toxic dust swirling. The team pushed forward, relentless. In the heart of the complex, they uncovered a horrific truth: vats of engineered bioweapons, designed to target human physiology. Alien scientists had twisted life itself into instruments of genocide. Elise stared at the vats, her breath catching. "They planned this war long ago," she said, voice raw. "Not just for territory, but to exterminate us." Jax's eyes hardened. "No wonder they underestimated us. They thought they had us trapped." The team's comm crackled again. "Incoming reinforcements," Mira warned. "We need to move, now." They retreated. The complex began self-destruct sequences, triggered by panic protocols. The team raced against time, dodging collapsing ceilings and flaming debris. Elise's mind reeled. The cost of waiting was etched in every burned-out corridor. Back on the Retribution, Elise debriefed with Marcus and Lena. "We knew the war was biological as well as military," Lena said, her voice weary. "But seeing it firsthand changes everything," Elise nodded. "This is no longer about survival. It's about ensuring they never get the chance to strike again." Marcus looked troubled. "But the line between justice and revenge is blurring. How much of our humanity do we lose before this ends?" Elise's gaze was steel. "We lose what we must. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of every species that won't bow to fear." In distant systems, alien factions splintered further, each desperate to forge weapons to match humanity's Deathworld technology. But internal betrayals and paranoia crippled their efforts. A shadowy figure whispered into a hollow communicator, voice laced with venom. "They will learn fear, but it will be too late." Meanwhile, back on the scorched battlefield of Rexes, Jax sat by a flickering fire, staring into the orange haze. "We're not just fighting enemies out there," he murmured. "We're fighting the darkness inside us." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then let's make sure that darkness protects, not destroys." Above them, the Retribution waited silently, a beacon of human tenacity in the unforgiving void. The war had only just begun. Amidst mounting chaos, a fragile ceasefire is brokered between human and alien factions, revealing deep wounds and uneasy hopes. Commander Elise Renner grapples with the price of trust and the shadows of betrayal, while alien leaders confront their own fractures. Scientific breakthroughs shed light on humanity's Deathworld adaptations, highlighting both strength and vulnerability. The fragile ice of peace threatens to shatter as old grudges and new fears collide. The cold of space pressed in on the USS Retribution, a silent sentinel against the infinite void. The battle-scarred warship loomed over the shattered remains of the Vrexis system, its black hull etched with the scars of recent conflicts. Inside the command deck, Commander Elise Renner stared at the flickering holographic interface. A blinking beacon marked the coordinates of an approaching alien envoy ship, the first formal contact since the war erupted. Protocol demands caution, Lieutenant Marcus Yates reminded her, tension thick in his voice. But this could be the opening we need, Elise nodded slowly. Prepare the conference room. This isn't a sign of weakness, it's a chance to understand. The alien envoy ship, a sleek vessel painted in the muted colors of a fractured coalition, docked with a hesitant grace. From its airlock emerged Selra, a high-ranking diplomat from a minor alien faction long overshadowed by the dominant warlords. Her appearance was striking. Slender limbs, iridescent skin shifting subtly under the lights, and eyes that seemed to carry the weight of centuries. "Commander Renner," Selra began, her voice calm yet edged with wary respect. "We come seeking a parley, not surrender." Elise studied her carefully. "Then speak your terms." Selra's gaze softened, but her words were grave. "We have witnessed your strength, your Deathworld warships. They are unlike anything we imagined. But the war has shattered our worlds and our souls. There is still time to prevent total destruction." The room fell silent. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. To some this was a victory, to others a dangerous gamble. Elise finally broke the silence. "Humanity waited too long to be heard, but we are willing to listen, on one condition, that the atrocities planned against Earth and its people are acknowledged and never repeated." Selra nodded solemnly. "We acknowledge the mistakes of our past leadership. But old wounds run deep." As talks continued, Dr. Lena Kovac worked tirelessly in the science lab, analyzing recovered alien tech alongside humanity's Deathworld adaptations. "Commander," Lena said during a private briefing, "our survival depends not only on weapons but on understanding the biology of Deathworlds, how humans adapted to environments that break others." She projected molecular models of nanotech that mimicked extremophile DNA, nanobots that repaired damaged cells in real time, and gravity modulators that altered stress on human physiology. "It's not just technology," Lena explained. "It's evolution accelerated by necessity. Our Deathworld warships are extensions of that adaptation." Elise absorbed the weight of those words. "So our greatest weapon is ourselves, shaped by hardship and unyielding will." Outside, tensions simmered. Alien factions outside the conference room plotted, some viewing the ceasefire as weakness, others desperate for peace. The fragile ice of diplomacy began to crack as old betrayals surfaced. Secret transmissions revealed that rogue elements within the alien coalition were planning sabotage, unwilling to accept any terms. Lise received a private message from her intelligence officer, voice low. "Commander, we intercepted a distress signal, a Deathworld warship in peril. It's a trap." Her heart hardened. "Prepare a rescue mission. No human ship left behind." Meanwhile, Selra confided quietly in Elise. "We are fractured, but your arrival has forced us to confront truths we buried for too long. Trust is fragile, but so is hope." Elise allowed herself a rare moment of vulnerability. "We've waited too long to trust, but maybe, just maybe, it's time to try." As the night deepened, both sides wrestled with ghosts, memories of betrayal, the cost of war, and the possibility of mercy. But war is a cruel teacher. The ice may hold, or it may shatter into ruin. The fragile ceasefire shatters as sabotage ignites renewed conflict. Commander Elise Renner leads a desperate rescue mission into a trap, pushing human and alien forces to the brink. Personal sacrifices, brutal combat, and unexpected alliances reveal the volatile nature of trust and vengeance. The war's psychological toll deepens, questioning what it truly means to be human in a galaxy ablaze. The cold silence of space shattered like glass. The emergency beacon flashed red across the Retribution's tactical console, a cry of distress. From the warship Ironclad, one of humanity's Deathworld vessels, trapped in the fiery grip of a collapsing alien star system. "Commander," Lieutenant Yates announced sharply, "Ironclad is under heavy assault and drifting toward the system's unstable core. If she goes in, it's catastrophic." Elise's jaw clenched. "Prepare the Shadowfang team for immediate deployment. No one left behind." Outside the viewport, the stars twisted in eerie patterns as solar flares rippled through the system, igniting debris clouds like wildfire. The Retribution surged forward, cutting through the chaos with cold precision. The Shadowfang dropped into the war-torn atmosphere of the hostile system's main planet, a volatile death world with volcanic fissures spewing molten rock and toxic storms that clawed at the skin like knives. "Recon report." Sergeant Huang's voice was steady despite the chaos. "Enemy forces mobilizing on multiple fronts. This is a trap." Elise's grip tightened on the railing. "No room for hesitation. Our people need us." The rescue team stormed the fractured surface amid eruptions of fire and plasma. Alien strike squads, using guerrilla tactics honed over centuries, surrounded them, forcing brutal close-quarters combat. Private Jax fired with calculated fury, his eyes reflecting both fear and fierce resolve. "They want to break us, to remind us we're not invincible." Mira shouted, "Hold! Formation! Push forward!" Explosions ripped through the battlefield as the humans advanced, each step a defiance against the encroaching death. Deep beneath a jagged ridge, the Ironclad's crew fought to keep their ship's systems alive. Commander Voss, battle-worn, and grim, broadcast a desperate plea. "Elise, can you hear me? We're surrounded, systems failing, evacuation critical." Elise's voice was steel. "Hold tight, Voss. Extraction team inbound." As the team battled their way through molten rivers and collapsing caverns, Elise's mind raced with memories of fallen comrades and promises made in blood. A sudden explosion rocked the ground. Jax was thrown against a jagged rock, pain flaring. It threw his side. "Get up," Mira snapped, dragging him up. "We're almost there." The team reached the Ironclad, sealing airlocks just as the alien forces closed in. Inside, chaos reigned. Fires raged, alarms screamed, and the ship groaned under strain. Elise moved swiftly, coordinating evacuation efforts. "All hands, prepare for immediate launch. Shields at max, firing protocols. Stand by." Outside, the alien forces unleashed a devastating EMP pulse. The Ironclad's power flickered, systems stuttering dangerously. Lena's voice crackled in her comm earpiece. "Commander, the EMP is destabilizing the nanotech repairs. We won't hold long." Elise's heart pounded. "We don't get to lose today." The Shadowfang locked onto the Ironclad, tethering for extraction amid a barrage of plasma fire. The Retribution provided orbital cover, raining precise strikes on enemy positions. As the ships pulled away from the volatile surface, an unexpected transmission cut through the noise. A surrender offer from Selra's faction, fractured but sincere. Elise's eyes narrowed. Trust is a battlefield as much as the stars. Back on the Retribution, the crew mourned losses and tended wounds. But the fire in their eyes burned brighter. Elise looked out into the abyss. The war was far from over, but humanity's spirit, forged in the flames of Deathworlds, would not be extinguished. The aftermath of the Ironclad rescue cast a long shadow over the Retribution's bridge. Elise Renner stood silently, staring at the hollow projection of a fractured galaxy, fractured alliances, broken promises, and bloodied borders. The war was no longer a series of battles. It had become a fracturing of souls. Marcus Yates approached, his voice low, strained. "Selra's faction, they're losing control. Their moderates are assassinated, hardliners rising. Elise's Eyes narrowed, so the war's poison spreads in every direction. Down below, the conference chamber was a cage of whispered threats and fragile truces. Selra met Elise's gaze across the table, exhaustion and fear carved into her iridescent skin. "Your Deathworld ships changed everything," Selra confessed. "We underestimated what you were capable of, but now we face enemies within our own ranks as much as yours." Elise nodded slowly. "Trust is the most dangerous weapon here. One misstep and it shatters." Elsewhere, the Retribution's science bay became a crucible of frantic research. Lena Kovac worked with alien defectors, scientists who had chosen survival over loyalty to reverse engineer human Deathworld tech and understand alien vulnerabilities. "The nanobots adapt in real time," Lena explained to Elise. "Their biology resists it, but with enough data we might predict their countermeasures." Elise's mind drifted to the battlefield, the faces of soldiers lost, the sacrifices made. "This war isn't just about winning," she said quietly. "It's about not losing ourselves." Meanwhile, alien high command was unraveling. The once unified coalition fragmented into competing warlords, each hungry for power but crippled by fear. A secret meeting in the shadows revealed a conspiracy to sabotage peace talks and reignite full-scale war. A chilling voice whispered, "Humanity may have waited, but we will ensure they never find peace." As betrayals festered, Elise faced her own doubts. One sleepless night she confided in Marcus. "How do you lead when every choice feels like a death sentence?" Marcus replied, voice steady but weary. "Because sometimes the only way to survive is to fight through the darkness, even when you can't see the light." The war's psychological toll deepened, fracturing minds as surely as ships. In a rare moment, Elise stood alone on the observation deck, watching distant stars flicker. "Silent witnesses to a galaxy at war," she whispered. "Humanity waited too long. Now we speak with fire." And the echoes of that fire would reshape the stars themselves. The night was black as a void, broken only by the harsh glow of distant starfires. Elise Renner sat alone in the Warships command chamber. The low hum of the Retribution's engines, a constant reminder of the fragile bubble of safety around them. Her fingers traced the cold metal of the console as reports streamed in, losses mounting, colonies devastated, lives extinguished in endless waves of fire. "The weight of this war," she murmured. "It burns us from the inside out." "Lieutenant." Marcus Yates entered silently, holding a hollow pad filled with images, ruined cities, ash-covered landscapes, survivors clawing through the rubble. "They're hiding something on Icarus Prime," he said. "A research facility buried beneath the Deathworld surface. Intelligence suggests it holds the key to the alien war effort, and their darkest secrets." Elise's eyes sharpened. "Then that's where we go." The drop teams deployed amidst volcanic vents and sulphurous skies. The very air crackled. With raw energy, a planet born of violence and chaos. Deathworlds shape us, Elise thought grimly. They forge survival from fire. The human squads moved through scorched ruins, their armor scarred by ash and flame. Alien resistance was fierce, genetically enhanced warriors wielding weapons that bent light and shattered minds. Sergeant Mira Huang called out, "Contact left, grenades out." Explosions sent shockwaves through the cracked earth, sending plumes of ash into the sky. Jax fought with grim determination, each enemy fallen a bitter victory. Deeper into the labyrinth, the team uncovered evidence of alien bioweapon experiments, victims mutated into grotesque forms, their pain frozen. In eternal silence, Elise's breath caught. They turned life itself into a weapon. But the true horror waited beyond, a massive chamber where alien scientists monitored an array of containment fields holding dormant, horrifying bioconstructs. "This is their ultimate weapon," Lena whispered over comms. "If activated, It could annihilate entire star systems. Elise's voice was cold steel. Not on our watch. As they prepared to sabotage the facility, alarms blared. The entire complex was collapsing. Saboteurs had triggered a failsafe. The team raced against time, dodging collapsing corridors and searing plasma bursts. Elise ordered a retreat, but the alien reinforcements closed in with ruthless precision. The firefight became a desperate struggle for survival, friends falling, lives hanging by threads of chance. At the last moment, the Retribution's orbital guns obliterated the facility, a fiery explosion painting the sky with death. Back aboard the ship, the cost weighed heavily. Elise stood before the crew, voice steady but raw. We fight not just to win, but to survive the darkness without losing ourselves. Humanity waits no longer. We burn brighter because we refuse to be extinguished. In the alien realms, civil war erupted, factions torn apart by fear and vengeance, their empire crumbling under the weight of its own sins. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would rise from the ashes. The Retribution drifted in the cold, a ghost ship amidst the fractured stars. Elise Renner stood before a cascade of encrypted transmissions, fragments of intercepted messages, intelligence reports, and intercepted alien communications. What emerged was a tapestry of deception, far deeper than any battlefield stratagem. Someone's been playing both sides, Marcus Yates said grimly, standing beside her. This war, it's been fueled by lies. Elise's gaze hardened. And those lies have cost countless lives. On the far side of the galaxy, Selra's faction fractured completely. Power struggles erupted in bloody coups, while fanatics within the alien coalition pushed for total annihilation of humanity. Back aboard the Retribution, Lena Kovacs discovered disturbing anomalies within human Deathworld tech, unexplained. Glitches hinting at covert tampering, sabotage from within, she warned. Someone's undermining us, exploiting our trust. The revelation sent ripples of paranoia through the human command. Elise called a council. We must root out the traitors before they destroy everything we've fought for. Tensions exploded as accusations flew, alliances crumbled, and old wounds reopened. In the midst of turmoil, Elise received a covert message, a plea for parley from an unexpected source, a disgraced alien general offering to betray the hardliners in exchange for peace. The commander wrestled with her instincts. Was this a trap, or a last chance for humanity? A clandestine meeting on the neutral moon of Vailros was arranged. A shadow dance of diplomats, spies, and soldiers under the weight of desperate hope. Elise faced her counterpart, General Kyle, whose battle-scarred face betrayed a haunted past. We are both prisoners of this war, he said quietly. But freedom lies in breaking the chains, if you dare to reach out. Trust was fragile, built on trembling hands and shattered promises. As negotiations dragged on, the war's psychological toll deepened. Soldiers fractured by trauma, commanders haunted by ghosts, civilizations pushed to the brink of extinction. Elise confronted her own demons, the cost of vengeance, the sacrifices made, and the price of hope. She whispered to the empty night, humanity waited too long, but now we choose our own destiny, even if it means walking through fire. The void shuddered with the thunder of war. The Retribution and its Deathworld fleet surged into the maelstrom surrounding the shattered core of the ancient alien citadel, a fortress of obsidian spires and glowing conduits pulsing with dying energy. Elise stood at the helm, eyes burning with resolve. This is the moment we've prepared for. No retreat, no surrender. Around her, the warships hummed, engines glowing, weapons primed, nanotech shields shimmering against the coming storm. The alien coalition's remnants rallied their last forces, desperate and savage. "Brace for impact!" yelled Lieutenant Yates's plasma fire streaked through the void. Explosions tore through the fleet, ripping metal and flesh alike. The clash of technology and will ignited the darkness. Elise directed tactics with brutal efficiency, weaving maneuvers honed by Deathworld's survival instinct and hard-earned knowledge. Amidst the chaos, Selra appeared on the comm, voice steady despite the destruction around her. "Commander, we fight alongside you, if only to end this madness," Elise nodded grimly. "Together then." The battle became a dance of fire and shadows. Deathworld warships using gravity modulation to slip through enemy fire, nanotech swarms, repairing breaches in real time, and humanity's ferocity breaking the chains of fear. But sacrifice came swift. The ironclad fell, torn apart by a coordinated strike. Elise's voice cracked with grief. "Hold the line, for every ship lost. We carry their will." In the heart of the Citadel, Elise led a boarding party to disable the alien war command. The corridors echoed with screams, gunfire, and the whispers of fallen foes. Face to face with General Kale, betrayed by his own, Elise found a man broken by war. "This ends now," she declared, "not with more death, but with mercy." Kyle's eyes flickered with doubt. "Mercy? After everything?" She held his gaze. "Mercy is what makes us human. Revenge only breeds endless war." The final confrontation was brutal but brief. Kyle surrendered, signaling the collapse of the alien coalition. Back on the bridge, Elise watched as the enemy fleets powered down, a fragile silence settling over the stars. "Humanity waited too long to be heard," she whispered. "But when we spoke, our Deathworld warships did all the talking. The war was over, but the scars it left would shape the galaxy forever." The first light of a distant sun filtered through the shattered hull of the Retribution, casting long shadows across the battered deck. Elise Renner stood quietly, her hands resting on the rail, eyes tracing the horizon where darkness met the fragile glow of dawn. The war was over, yet the silence that followed was not peace. It was a breath held, a moment suspended between what was lost and what might be. The galaxy was scarred, ruined. Worlds, fractured alliances, and the echoes of battles that had stretched beyond the stars. "Commander," Lena Kovac approached, her face weary but hopeful. "We've begun integrating alien technologies with our own, a foundation for rebuilding." Elise nodded, her gaze distant, a future forged from fire, but one we must guard fiercely. Across the Coalition's new council chambers, once enemies now met as tentative allies, their mistrust tempered by shared suffering and the understanding that survival demanded unity. Selra and Kyle stood beside Elise, their presence a testament to the fragile peace born from war's ashes. "Humanity waited too long," Elise spoke at the council's opening, voice steady. "But when we spoke, our Deathworld warships did more than fight. They told a story of resilience, mercy, and unyielding spirit. The council listened, hope flickering like a fragile flame. But beneath the surface, the wounds ran deep. Veterans haunted by memories, families shattered, and the ever-present shadow of new threats lurking beyond the stars." Elise turned to Marcus Yates. "The galaxy won't wait forever. We must be ready, not just for war, but for the future we want to build." He smiled grimly. "Then let's make sure it's one worth fighting for." As the sun rose higher, bathing the ship in warm light, Elise allowed herself a rare moment of peace. The Deathworld ships rested, their weapons silent but ever vigilant. Humanity had waited, and when it was time, their voices rang out loud and clear. The stars were theirs to shape now.